Hello and welcome to this chess tactics video, and today let's see if you can solve these tactics. Alright, so in this first problem it is black's turn to move, and if we look at this position it looks like white is slightly ahead here. Let's see, as he has an extra bishop for 2 pawns. But black does have this passed pawn that is close to promotion. And also we have to watch out that white is threatening a mate in 1 here on h7. So look at this problem. What would you do as black? As always, pause the video in these tactics problems if you need more time to think. But what would you do here as black? All right, let's take a look here. All right, so if we look at the evaluation, of course, black is winning. And it looks like he could stay ahead with a rook to f1 move. That would be winning, so that's the best move. But it's interesting that rook to f7 is also mentioned here by the computer, which, I don't know, that's a little surprising. Maybe we'll have to take a look at that. But first, let's look at rook to f1. So rook to f1 check here is the best move. And if the bishop were to just capture, well, then we have queen to e4 check. And if the queen captures, then pawn captures, promotes to a queen, and mates here. So white must avoid that. And so if we go back to the beginning and take a look at rook to f1 once again. So we see that the bishop cannot just capture. It looks like the best response would be queen captures. But then after the pawn captures with check, the bishop would be forced to capture. And then we have queen to e4 here. And then one option that black needs to avoid is blocking with the bishop, because then that would allow check by the queen, and the bishop would be forced to block, and then once again a mate here, and the king is trapped. So instead of that, after queen to e4 with check, we have the king moving, but that allows capture of the pawn. And when the king moves, then the queen could just capture the rook. And so black would be winning in this position. But one thing I would like to take a quick look at is see what this rook to f7 move is, which, I don't know, that just looked a little strange. So rook to f7, and then after rook captures, renewing this threat of mate in 1 here. But then we have e1 queen, queen captures, queen captures, and then it looks like rook to f1. And then here it just says, looks like queen to h4 is the best move. So I don't know, that was interesting. It looks like black is ahead by +2 in this. So, you know, a queen and a pawn versus a rook and a bishop. So black should be able to hang on here, especially if he can try and capture this pawn. Although, I don't know, the pawn could push forward and remain protected. Anyway, that would be more tricky than the best move. So once again, rook to f1 was the best move here. Okay, I hope you were able to find that. Let's go on to the next problem here. Let's see. And let me make sure I hide the details. So 2. All right, so hopefully you didn't see the answer there. All right, so here it is white's turn to move. And these problems are a little trickier, so take a good look here and see what you think is the best move for white here to play in this position and win. So have a look at this and figure out what you think is correct. Once again, pause the video if you have to. If not, let's take a look at the answer here. All right. So white is winning, and there is one move that gives white the winning advantage here, and it is bishop to c5. So interesting move here, as now the queen is under attack. So if the queen would just capture with queen takes e2, well, then we have rook captures with check, forcing the queen to capture that rook, but then the other rook recaptures here with a checkmate. So in order to avoid that, if we go back to the beginning, bishop to c5, and it looks like the computer recommends the best move as being king to f7. So let's take a look at that. King to f7, but then in this position the queen would just capture. The king is in check now, so the king cannot retreat back up to e8, or the queen would just capture the bishop with mate. So the king would have to run here to g6, but now the queen can capture the bishop, and the threat was also of the queen capturing this pawn on g7 with check. So the rook protects this pawn, but now we have queen to f7, and so here white is ahead in material, the king is out in the open, and white should have no problem winning this game. But one other option to look at, if we go back to the beginning, bishop to c5. If rook to d6 is played to block this attack and protect the queen, well then rook captures on e7 with check, and now the queen is under attack again. So if the king were to capture, then queen captures with check, and now this rook cannot recapture as it is pinned by the bishop here. So the king would have to retreat, and then after a capture, the knight, if it blocks, white just keeps attacking here until we have a mate. So I don't know, if we take a quick look back at that position, there was one thing I wanted to look at. So it looks like rook takes e7 was the best move. And then here black had a little better move, king to d8, running here. But once again, now the rook would just capture the queen and be ahead in material. All right. Well, I hope you found that one and you were able to solve that tactical problem. Let's take a look at another one here. All right, let me hide all the details. All right, so in this position, it is white's turn to move. What should white do here? So take a good look at this, see if you can figure it out. If we look at the material, let's see, is it even here? So it looks like material is even, but excuse me, white does have more pieces around black's king, and white's king is safe here, so that will make the difference. All right. Well, pause the video if you need more time. If not, let's take a look. And so white is winning, and it looks like rook to d7 is the winning move in this position. And so that's kind of tricky, but if we see the theme here of everything piling up on this f7 pawn, and the rook just adds another attacker there. And so if the bishop were to just take this rook, well, then we would have queen captures, forcing the rook to recapture, and then white recaptures with a checkmate with the knight and rook here. So that would lead to an interesting little checkmate. And if we go back to the beginning, rook to d7, and then block here with, it looks like that was, let me take a look real quick. So rook to e7 is the main move recommended by the computer. But we see with this evaluation, white is just very much ahead by the equivalent of 6 pawns worth of material. So after this block, we could have, excuse me, rook captures, and if the king captures, well, then we just have queen to f6, forking the rook and the king. But now the king cannot protect this rook by moving to f8, because then we would just have a mate by the queen here on d8. So if we go back, let's see here. After this fork, the computer recommends king to d7 as being the best move, but then the queen would just capture this rook and white would be ahead in material and have a winning advantage. All right, we'll take a look at one more tactics problem here, see if you can figure it out. All right. Okay, so this final problem, it's white's turn to move. Black is slightly ahead in material here. Let's see, by it looks like 2 pawns worth of material. So, well, let me make sure that's correct. Yes, 4, 7 versus 5. So black is ahead, 2 pawns of material, but black's king is stuck in the center. He neglected to castle earlier in the game, and now he is trapped in the center. And white has all his pieces lined up through the center here. Well, most of them. His 2 bishops. He has a knight that can jump in here. A queen is attacking the rook. So basically, this other rook is the only one not doing anything. But you know, what should white do here? What is the winning move? And he probably has more than one good move here, but see if you can find the best move that white can play in this position. So pause the video if you need more time. If not, let's take a look. All right, so white is winning in this position, and it looks like he could just capture here with knight takes e4, and that would give him a comfortable lead. Also, just retreating the bishop back to a3. Because this king is stuck in the middle here, that can cause problems for black. But the best move and the most forcing move is queen capturing on e4 here. And so we see that if the knight were to take the queen, well, then it's an immediate mate here with the bishops and the rook protecting this bishop when it captures on f7. So the queen cannot be captured. So after queen to e4 with check, the king cannot run away as he is trapped by this bishop. So it looks like the best move is to just block with the knight. So knight to e5. But then the queen just captures with check again. And now, what can black do here? If the king tries to run to d7, the only square he can go to, well then that leads to a mate in 3. We could take a quick look at that. So here the rook that wasn't doing anything could join the attack here. And then what do we have? The king could run to c6, but then that would be an immediate mate. And the other option is to just block. But then we have, let's see, queen capturing. And then once the king moves here, then the queen would just mate. So this is one option, one possibility that could have happened. So let's go back here. And I'll just start at the beginning in case that was a little confusing there. All right, so queen captures. We've already stated that the knight cannot recapture or it would lead to a mate with this bishop on f7. So black should block here, but then the queen captures, renewing the check. And then the bishop blocks now. But we have, let's see here, rook at a to d1 now, attacking the queen. And so here the recommended move would be queen to c8 possibly. Well, let's see if the computer recommended, let's see, rook to h7, which, that just lets the queen be captured. So if the queen would move out of this attack by the rook, then the game could continue with rook captures the knight here, and then after a recapture, the queen would capture. And so now we have a threat of queen to e7 mating here. So also there's a threat of just capturing the rook. So with these two threats, black would be losing. So one other option to take a look at would be, let's see here, instead of rook at a to d1 attacking the queen in this position, and I'll run back through the beginning just to go over everything one more time. So queen captures, block, check, block, and then here we had rook at a to d1. Another option may be just capturing with the bishop here. And then the best move recommended by the computer is queen to d6 to avoid immediate mate. But then we would just have a capture there. And then, say after recapture, well, now we have the queen capturing and then capture. So this, we would just have a king hunt here. Until finally there's a mate. So this is just another way that white would gain the winning advantage and follow it through to checkmate. But if we take a look at the initial position, queen capturing the pawn on e4. So maybe that move is a little harder to see because you normally don't give up your queen. But here, if the queen, if the queen were just captured, it led to this mate. So that's always something to be aware of. Maybe there's a chance or a possibility to sacrifice a piece. It doesn't happen often, but at least take a quick look to see if there is some unexpected move where you can sacrifice something and it will open up the position to give you an advantage or even a mate. All right, well, I hope you enjoyed these chess tactics and you were able to figure them out and solve them. Remember, solving tactics regularly will help improve your chess game. So try to do at least a little bit of tactical problems daily if you can make the time. All right, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please like and subscribe, and feel free to leave comments or suggestions. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.